Hello and welcome everybody to the Buy Round Review Show. James Graham joined by Charlie White. Charlie, I'd say great to see you, but it's not because your car is in the garage.
Yep.
And I had to drive you here.
Which I appreciate you driving me here.
Well, I don't accept your kind words because I'd rather you show me that appreciation than just bullshit and lie to me, because you were into me about driving. You know, you're very critical of my driving ability.
Yeah. Well, if for everyone listening at home, basically you had a few opportunities to do a U-turn. You kept on not feeling it was safe to do the U-turn, but it was a very simple maneuver. So you drove for miles. You basically added 10 minutes to our journey trying to do a U-turn. And also, I reckon, I ate my lunch in your car. I reckon that's probably a no-go, but I was starving. And you, in return, every time you come in my car, you leave coffee cups in the car.
No, I don't.
You do, every single time. Pretty much without fail. I find an almond milk coffee cup in there. Starts to stink after a while as well. I don't know it's there. But then a passenger will hop in and they'll go, there's a coffee cup there.
Yeah, the odour of your food is now,
It lingers fishbowl as well. Great lunch though, great food, but
great
it does
lunch,
linger.
but it does linger. So my nice new-ish Hyundai is stinking of that. So if you want to pay for the
car wash, I won't be paying for the car wash. I won't.
No.
But how was your weekend? I've seen a lot of you anyway. But how was your weekend, Jimmy?
It's been fantastic, thanks. I'm not sure if the buy round actually got tagged in one of the photos, but I was at my mate's 40th on Saturday at his house. They hired some, I guess, what are the toilets?
Oh, porta potties.
Portaloos, yeah. So I'm taking
potties.
I'm in the Portaloo, and I'm taking a piss, and then it starts like shaking. I'm like, whoa, what's going on here? Like panicking, and then it starts to tip.
Oh no!
And they're trying to tip me over,
Jackass style.
Yeah, but they, like, to be fair to them, they tipped me into the fence as opposed to away from the fence. They let me out.
Luckily, you weren't doing a shit.
Very lucky. Very lucky. Yeah. Yeah. You're right. I didn't think of that, but yeah, luckily they tipped me like towards the fence as opposed to towards the floor.
Yep.
Because one would have been locked in with the door facing there and also caked in whatever was happening.
Yeah. Well, good mates there. It's a 40th as well, not like 21st.
No, that's true. That's true. But I think, I know that somebody tagged the buy round in one of those photos. I can send it to you, Tony, anyway, because, it was... but apart from... Well, that was part of the fun. And, we... what else? Plenty of good football. Dogs are flying.
They are flying.
How about you?
Mate, it was good. I'm not drinking for a few weeks. I didn't have any beers this weekend, which was nice. Feel pretty... refreshed for a Monday, but I've signed up to do a triathlon.
Oh yeah,
and it's in 3 weeks' time, and I hadn't practiced swimming at all. And I went for a swim with my mate who's also doing it, and I actually can only swim 50 meters. So and then I got exhausted and had to like chill out for a bit. I've got to do
chill out.
I've got to do.
You mean rest?
Yeah, I've got to do a 750 meter swim, but I can currently only swim 50 meters without like massive exhaustion.
I know a guy that's doing the triathlon in Noosa, and he's having like swimming lessons, and he's an adult, and I'm a bit like,
my thoughts are I can just power through with breaststroke if I need to. Like I can do a bit of breaststroke if I need to, because I definitely won't be able to do freestyle the whole way. I won't be able to do it.
Mate, you can't just go back to breath. It doesn't get any easier. It gets...
No, it does. It's the breathing thing, isn't it?
Oh,
it's breathing underwater, like not doing it correctly.
So you're going to do the breaststroke like head above?
Of course. What? No, I'm not going down. I'm going head up. I'm going head up.
Oh, my God. Charlie, you would embarrass the buy round if you do that. Seriously, don't embarrass us.
I'm probably going to have to, because I don't think... I can only swim 50 meters.
Yeah,
like I'm not just going to be able to swim out of nowhere.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
Yeah, but didn't drink, so I feel fresh. Like changes everything. Not drinking for a couple of days.
Yeah, it does. I can't say I'm in that same boat as you, but although I did go over to one of my mates' houses at the weekend, and we spoke about this house, like his fence that we mentioned on the show about costing a fortune. He actually got one of a fence company. Which was Fence Magic from Miranda, got in touch with the show, did the fence.
Boom.
It looks smick. So
How much did he get off the price as well? Because we should take it. He should have to pay us a little fee for that.
Adam, if you're listening, which I really hope you are, what should we clip him like maybe
50%
of the money saved?
Yeah, 50% finder's fee.
Well, I don't know if he's going to give us that, but yeah.
What I also loved was Matt Rogers on the weekend. The chat with him was good, great. One of the best chats we've done, I reckon. It was awesome.
Mate, time literally flew by. He had a flight to catch. We had so many areas to cover. What an amazing human being he is. Like, the work that he's done in the autism space is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
To experience what he did and his wife did, and to come out of it and think, well, the school obviously helped them. And now this is not enough, and we're going to do this for other people because they can't afford it. And mate, it's the first time that I've done an interview and cried.
Yeah,
like, during it, like that's the first. I've been close when people have told like emotional stories, but that was like,
man, I was tearing up as well.
Yeah,
sitting over there, like it was very emotional, and he's just had such an incredible career as well. Like played for the Wallabies when you could argue that was the peak of the Wallabies, the 03 World Cup in Australia. He's all the stuff he did with Super League, like that story about how he negotiated Super League. Was insane, insane. Obviously, growing up with his dad being in the limelight, like it's just he's an absolute legend of a guy as well, Matt Rogers.
Mate, you know, whatever you think of the Super League war and all that breaking out, it would have been like insane to deal with that situation as a player, especially as a young player. Yeah. Like, you'd be thinking, is this for real?
Well, he went from
the money that they were getting thrown. It's just incredible.
He went from getting 30 grand a year to 250 grand a year overnight.
Yeah,
like overnight. Like,
and it was going up. It kept on going up and up. It was like just when you think you've landed the deal of a lifetime. Yeah. Not that it's all about money, but it certainly helped.
And he was 19, I think, at the time, 20 years old. Like, just insane stuff. Also, we've got no Hindy who should be back soon, but you are going to do a Rockbuster, because when you and me used to do the show, just the two of us, you used to do Rockbusters. And if you don't know what they are, you're listening like, what is a Rockbuster? It is a cryptic clue for an NRL player based on a game Carl Pilkington used to play with Stephen Merchant.
And Ricky Gervais, yeah. So it was Rockbusters, where basically Carl would come up with like you said, a cryptic clue for a band or an artist. So ours are rugby league identities, personalities, players. It has been a while since I've done a Rockbuster, and look, I'm a little bit disappointed in myself because it's not in the true spirit of the cryptic nature of Carl Pilkington, which would sort of bumble on and often would change the clue as time goes on within the show. But this is my Rockbuster for this week. What's the prize?
Do you know what? If you get it right, is this a hard one or no?
It depends on how you look at it.
Well, you know if it's easy or hard, don't you? So how do you look at it?
I think this one is very gettable.
Gettable, okay. Well, we've got a few like extra T-shirts just lying around. We're not looking to sell them. We just want to get rid of them. They're creating some space in the office. So
you're really incentivizing people to drill down these T-shirts that we can't get rid
nice
of.
T-shirts. They're nice T-shirts. It's just all different sizes now. We've got to get rid of them. So we'll give a bunch of them away. If you get it right, we'll give it to you. But probably a handful of you. The first like 5 or 6 you get it right, we'll give you a T-shirt.
Because we do have some exciting news bubbling away in the background,
which we'll be able to talk about more soon. Yeah. Which I think people are going to love. I think people are going to really get around it.
The merchandise aspect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be a jersey. We're going to do a jersey. We can reveal it.
but we have talked about doing some other
that's
items as well, which we're excited about. But anyway, here's the Rockbuster. This knife, it can fly.
This knife, it can fly.
I'll let you think about that.
This knife, it can fly.
Let's not have dead air. Don't stress yourself. But
I'll think about it during the show. But it's not about me getting it anyway. It's about you getting it. No, it's not.
It isn't about you getting it. Yeah. It is about the listeners getting it, which I back them over you, if I'm being truthful.
Do you know who I'm starting to back over almost everyone? Is the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs, baby. 5-0. 5-0, James Graham. You must be excited.
Yes. I'm very pleased with how they're performing. The 5 victories, look, in terms of opposition they've faced, the most impressive victory was the Cronulla Sharks. I think what's impressed everybody at the club is that their strength without their best players, and that is with Kikau and Burton, who most thought would see the Bulldogs struggle in a lot of these contests. The defence speaks for itself. I kind of felt a little bit sorry for the Newcastle Knights, losing Saifiti and Schiller. It was always going to be a difficult task, and yeah, they struggled. They really did, and it was a bit of a sign of where the Knights are at. But the Dogs just shut them down completely. Completely shut them down. Where can the Dogs get to? Look, there's nothing is awarded. There's nothing won this time of year. We all know that. I still feel that there's improvement in them. They've been the most consistent side this year, but at times other teams have shown what they're capable of. So when the Broncos look on, I think they're above the Dogs at the moment. When the Storm look on, I think they're above the Dogs at the moment. You could maybe make a case for Manly when they've looked really good. They've looked amazing. Now, that really good Melbourne, really good Broncos, really good Manly coming up against the Dogs' defence, that's what I'm looking forward to see as the weeks come on.
Penrith in Vegas, were they better than the Dogs have been?
No.
No, okay.
No.
Mate, the thing that's crazy about the Bulldogs as well, and you can say what you want about the Knights, whether they're a top 8 team or not this year. They were a top 8 team last year. They scored 0 points against the Dogs. And then last week, the Cronulla Sharks, who, whether you think they're a contender or not, they only scored 1 try against the Bulldogs. Like, that's just insane, the way the game is these days.
Yeah, their system is incredible. And, one of the things that we usually look for as a bit of barometer of successful defence is the stat of missed tackles, which doesn't seem to apply to the Bulldogs now. What does that say? It says that a team have this defensive system where they have each other's back and they move one another, and it's not a selfish approach of, well, I just want my stats to look good. It's about, no, let's do this together, which is, if you watch them closely on how they defend, you realise it takes a lot of energy, a lot of effort, a lot of criticism around recruitment of a similar style of player, not big enough, but they're not even at full strength, and they're like, there's some selection headaches coming as well when you we speak about it. Burton coming back in, Kikau coming back in. You've still got Tupanua out. You've got Sasulka Fafita, who's doing a fantastic job. Where does Hayward fit in? You've still got Sam Hughes to be welcomed back to the team. So there's a lot of depth there, which you need. But in terms of starts to the season, I don't think the Bulldogs club and faithful could have asked for any more.
Jacob Carraz's return as well. You know what I was thinking? Obviously, Toto's now out for a while. If Toto doesn't get back to the Origin arena in time, Kiraz might be a smoky to play Origin this year if he gets some good form over the next 6 weeks or so.
Well, I think he's been spoken about in the past.
Yeah.
Of Kiraz, being in the Origin arena. I think if he performs well enough, he will. It's just, where does he fit in? The wingers for New South Wales
Lomax,
would be Lomax and Toto would be probably first choice, but after that, there is no.
No, he's probably next cab off the rank.
Yeah. He would be. He'd be in pole position. Well, he'd be in third spot.
You know how you say the Storm are further ahead from what you've seen the Broncos further ahead. Given that, though, do you think the Dogs can win the premiership this year, or is that maybe just a level too high for them?
Well, it's their defence has shut down some quality opposition, but I want to see them get tested against Melbourne, because that's the best attack. When that spine clicks, and that spine are coming at you and throwing shots and Munster's dancing around the field, like he was on another level yesterday. He was, and in the open exchanges as well. Like he got that victory before halftime.
Yeah.
So he put the game to bed not all by himself, but he was a huge contributor in that.
He just looks so much fitter than previous years as well. So much like he just is. He's skinnier. He's skinnier, and he looks fitter.
He does. Yeah, he does. Just back to the Bulldogs game, because I know we're going to talk about the officiating, the sin bins, the penalties, and whatnot. But there's a few things that I think, despite that, need to be addressed. One is the advantage rule, which I've spoken about before. In that Newcastle game, Newcastle, in my opinion, had taken their advantage, and we need to figure out at what point is the advantage over. I think we've sort of the lines have got blurred, and it's too subjective. So I think we either, as a game, need to say we're going to give that one a free play, which I think most people would be, happy with.
Yeah.
As long as we all know it. I think that incentivizes more attacking, more risk-taking football, or it's just your advantage is over after you advance the ball or you pass the ball. Once one pass, advantage over.
Yeah.
Move past the point of the mistake, advantage over.
Yeah. Do you want to just talk about all the refereeing stuff now? Should we bring it all up to the top? Because we're going to do it later. May as well bring it up to the top.
Yeah, well, Charlie as well. A couple of incidences happened, or situations were thrown up on the weekend. Penrith v Cowboys. Cowboys up by 4. Penrith have a scrum attacking the line of the Cowboys. Cowboys had made the mistake on last play. Cowboys didn't pack the scrum in time. Time violation penalty. Thought that's a bit odd. They're close. Did they do that on purpose? Well, Penrith don't have the option to repack the scrum. So the best opportunity to attack any team, to score points, is from the base of the scrum, where it's 7-on-7, because you've got, and we see some great tries from scrums, but Penrith couldn't ask the referee to repack the scrum because the Cowboys conceded a time violation penalty, which is different from if you were offside from the scrum, the referee blows the penalty, you have the ability to ask the referee, we'll repack the scrum. The same situation happened in the Dragons v Parramatta game, where the Para couldn't ask the referee to repack the scrum. The Dragons were up by, I think, 12 at this stage, knocked on, in good field position for Parramatta, and they get a time violation penalty. I actually confirmed this with Graham Annesley today on the phone, because it was like, is that the lack of awareness from the players that they're not asking to repack the scrum, or is it not allowed in the game? And he confirmed that if a team concedes a time violation penalty, you can't repack the scrum.
So you're going to have coaches intentionally doing that as a tactic.
So if you're up by 4 and you knock the ball on and you're anywhere inside the 20, you just don't bother packing.
Yeah.
Like, why would you want to risk that? You'd rather have a set line. You don't want to concede. You don't want to defend from a scrum because it's too hard.
So if you're up by anything more than 2 points, that's what you're doing.
That's what you do.
Yeah. It's interesting. Did Annesley say that they are looking at that rule and there's anything could happen where they might change it? Or does the referee have something that they can do, like call a timeout or anything like that?
Yeah, he did actually, Charlie. So he said, look, it's obviously not in the spirit of the game, but they can't change that rule mid-season. So I think one of the ways to get around it would be to call time off, and so that the game clock stops, or there are ways to.
So they call timeout.
Yeah,
and they say, pack the scrum.
Call a timeout.
We're not going to put the scrum back on until you pack it. Okay,
They call basically call a timeout in order to stop this happening. But again, you could I'm just not going to pack.
Yeah, 100%.
Like a bit of a game of cat and mouse.
Yeah, reward the penalty.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to put the clock on eventually.
Or you go pack the scrum, or I'll send you for 10.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, okay, sir, I'll pack it.
Yeah, I'll do it now. Yeah.
Couple of forward passes this week as well.
That does my head in. Like, honestly, does my head in. The worst one was Moses Sully to Terrell Sloan. Terrell Sloan seemingly scores in the corner to win the game, to make it almost impossible for the Eels to beat the Dragons. And It was miles forward. It was like literally tap on, went 5 meters forward. There was a touch judge right there in line with it. How you missed that, I have no idea. I have no idea how you missed that. It's clear as day forward. You're watching it on the television from an angle and you can see it's gone forward. It's like insane. And then luckily Tyrrell Sloan's in touch, because otherwise the Eels get dudded, the Dragons win.
And and we never know what happens.
No. And then the Cobbo forward pass to Billy Walters, that was terrible. Like it seems there's more and more. Like it seems that they're missing.
The Latrell Mitchell try assist at the very end, I've seen angles where it looks or suggests it's forward, and somewhere it sort of suggests it's line ball, and or somewhere it is pure momentum rule, because Latrell actually throws the pass on the 10-meter line, and it's Isaiah Tass in the corner. Yeah. He doesn't catch it where Latrell passed the ball, but the ball can travel forward.
Yeah, of course, it's momentum.
It's momentum. Yeah. So,
but the ones like the Cobbo one's not momentum. The Sully one's not momentum. Yeah. And how you miss that, I don't understand.
I'm with you. And look, there are times in the game where we're never going to get it 100% right, but I think with forward passes, most stakeholders in the game would be okay with it being like probability wise, we're gonna look at this and go, that's a forward pass, and we're gonna, based off the angles available to us, because even when a player goes over for a try and it gets sent up as like, I'm not sure, just do that, and or say every try gets reviewed, give the authority for the bunker to say, yeah, in our opinion, it travelled forward. We'll go with the on-field decision of try or no try, but let's review it.
Yeah.
And if it's unknown, if it's too unknown, if the bunker can't make a call, then they don't have the power to overturn it. Just like we see so often with, did it get grounded? So if it goes up as a try, if the ball looks like it's been grounded, and there's no angles to overturn it, then that's what we go with.
Yeah.
So we do it in other situations, but
also you only have to do it for blatant forward passes. Well, that's what you put it in. You put it in for blatant forward passes. So they're not reviewing. It's not like, is that line ball? That might be. It's like, no. Blatant forward passes. It's all you need to do it through. You don't need multi-million-dollar technology for that. You just can do it now. Using the eye test.
That's it. So you don't. You're correct in that. In terms of bringing that technology in, I think you need to change the rules to help the tech, because I don't think the tech can
allow
change
the rules for the tech. It's not worth changing the rules for the tech.
Well, no, in terms of changing the rules,
you're saying ball can't float forward. Yeah. Nah, you can't.
Okay, well then I don't think the technology is advanced enough to take into account the momentum rule.
Yeah, well, see, then that's why you can. Let's just do it for just blatant forward passes, and let's just use our eyes, because we can all do it.
Yeah,
they can do it for knock-ons. They can do it for forward passes. Like that, if the Eels lost that game with all the effort they'd put in, with Junior Barlow making those big hits at the end of the game, trying to inspire his team, Zach Lomax, the clutchness he showed, if that's how they lost, that would have just been disgraceful.
Yeah, you're right, Charlie. And it's unfortunate that the game can come down to the ability or lack of ability of match officials to get the correct call when it comes to a forward pass. But I think we can make more accurate, better decisions with the use of technology. And it's a strange one since the beginning of the video referee, or the inception of the video referee, we've never been allowed to rule on forward passes because of this momentum, and it's subjective. But there are so many other areas of the game that are now subjective. Was it grounded? Wasn't it? Was that a strip? Was that a loose carry? That we make these calls based off the evidence available to us. So, look, for me, it's something that needs to be addressed.
Yeah. The other stuff from the weekend, then, referees-wise, was the crackdown, or you're not allowed to call it a crackdown apparently, but it was a crackdown. The high tackle sin bin crackdown, and 7 sin bins in the end. Couple of things. Isaac Tungo's sin bin, didn't even get charged for it, so how that's a sin bin, I don't know. Then I think Beau Fermor got charged for his one. I think they charged Beau Fermor and gave him a $750 fine because of the uproar when Tungo's sin bin didn't get fined. So I reckon that was a charge to avoid media pressure. And then there were no sin bins on Sunday. leading into the Monday news. I wonder if that was maybe, let's go easier on Sunday, guys. We went a bit harsh the first couple of days. Try and ease that media pressure.
Yeah, perhaps. And, the Tino shot on Felice Kafusi, based off what we've seen and based off what was missed in round 4 that we were told if happened in round 5 was going to be a sin bin, I think that's fair enough. It's just the delay. Obviously, it happened in the open exchanges. Why is it taking so long to get that action taken? And Isaiah Yeo got put on report for an incident that happened about 2 minutes prior to him doing that. Why are we stopping the game to put someone on report? It doesn't actually matter, but they got the call for Tino right, in my opinion, based off what we think a sin binning should be. But I just don't like how long it took.
No. And then
it did appear as if there were some softer sin binnings. And even I look at it, Charlie, I think referees are also a little bit reluctant if 2 of those happen in the space of the 10 minutes. So if Tango goes in the bin and somebody did the same thing, they're not going to punish them by sin binning. So it's still causing confusion, which we don't like. People will talk about consistency. I don't think we're ever going to get that. But what we want to eradicate is confusion. And in terms of what is a sin binnable offence, what isn't, what's chargeable, what isn't. We know what a penalty is and what isn't. Look, players are still milking, staying down, looking for the referee, playing that game of cat and mouse. But I just think we'd like a little bit of clarity and, arguably some common sense. You've never been allowed to make contact with the head, but at times it happens. No player. I think the days of players deliberately going out to put a forearm into someone is just not happening. And some of the shoulder contact with the head, it's hard. Like those kickoff runs, you can't set yourself too early. It's very difficult to bend and lower your target because you leave yourself vulnerable in that situation.
Yeah. And then, mate, just back to how I said there were no sin bins on Sunday. So Corey Riddell gets suspended for 2 weeks. High tackle, careless grade 2, no sin bin.
Yeah.
It's because they obviously didn't want to get the media pressure, so they were going softer on sin bins on Sunday.
Well,
because there was heaps of charges out of the Dogs game as well. There's like 4 or 5 charges out of the Dogs game, no sin bins in that.
Yeah. Well, that you've obviously collected the evidence there, which sort of backs up your point, which you can't really argue against. And it was interesting to hear Coach Hasler, at the end of his press conference say, "Hey guys, just by the way, I'm just letting you know, I'm not expecting a 25 grand fine." I've
criticised no one. I've said nothing.
Yeah, I've not criticised any referees or the decisions. The Bo Fermo one. It was just a great rugby league piece of play where he stopped that try, and I don't think anyone in the game wants to see that taken away or see that penalised. I really don't. Like, I felt really, really harsh for him.
Yeah, it was incidental contact. It was it trimmed, it nicked his chin.
That's it, Charlie. Use that phrase there, incidental contact. That's what it was, which I think as a player of the game, you accept is unavoidable.
Yeah. Hasler's press conference, by the way, is brilliant. Just if you haven't watched it, it's like 4 minutes. When you get rid of his ums and ahs and his stutters, like half the press going to go, and I'm saying this for this, or no, I'm not saying this for this. Actually, he just goes around and says, when you actually take these points out, but he would have been worried about the fine, extremely worried, wouldn't he?
Well, he loves his money. Des, when we do like media training days at the Dogs, he'd sit in on it because he's like a lot of coaches are very paranoid about giving other messages to the opposition, or as a player, you do face some difficult questions. If there's an off-field incident occurring, your words can be taken out of context or whatever it may be. And there's a real need for media training. We had this media training, and Des, at the end of it, gets up and he's like, "Lads, just listen. If you're ever asked a question that you're not comfortable with, and you don't want to answer, all you need to do is reply, cease and desist. And we were like, oh God, he's been serious. Yeah, imagine that. Just someone pops up with the microphone like James Hooper or Danny Wildler at the All-Ins. It's like, cease and desist.
Did anyone ever use that line? Or
no, we're not to the media. Well, we never got asked a question that we were not comfortable with. It never got that bad.
How were you with media when you were playing under Des? Did you buy into his thing of like the media's your enemy? And
yeah, I probably did. Although
because I heard you were maybe at times challenging to deal with for the journalists when you were at the Dogs.
Well, I did my weekly spot on 360 as a player.
Yeah, but were you at the Dogs then with Des? With Des? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it was.
Okay,
Yeah.
Maybe it was before that at times.
I just
and you can be honest now. We're amongst friends here as well. You know,
I
we can
think,
all reflect.
Do
we've all been
do you know what it was? It was getting asked what I perceived to be borderline stupid questions.
An example of that being
Just like about an injury to a player.
yeah.
Like after a game, I've been giving it my all on the field. One of my teammates has gone down, and you're asking me about their injury?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But like, I actually genuinely don't know. I hope it's not, like, I can't give you any insight. I'm not a doctor. I think I said that once. There was a quote. I'm like, look, I left high school with very little qualifications. Like, my doctorate is, I've got 7 years you need to train medically to become a doctor. 7 years of hard graft. And you're asking me to give an opinion.
See, do you know what's funny, though?
You know what? To have my time over again,
Yeah.
I would like to have played with the media a little bit more. And if someone goes off with like a tweet, I was like, oh, geez, can you just off the record? But obviously knowing it's going live, just off the record. I've heard this like 3 months. Oh, God, are we live?
But you
know
know
the Christian Welsh whisper? Oh,
Yeah.
they lost the
They
mic.
lost the-
Just
yeah.
do. I wish I'd have had a little bit more fun.
Yes.
I mean, we saw the Bulldogs players the other week have that little bit of fun where they had to get hectic in, but I would have loved to have just played a bit more of a silly game to make it more entertaining, because it was, and when you're in the week to week grind, it was kind of seen, and maybe this is me coming from the environment of Des about us against them. It did seem like a bit of a chore.
Yeah. But it's not a choice. It's fans wanting to hear what the players have to say. That's where
and that's where my attitude towards it maybe did change.
And that's where you get such sanitized answers and stuff, because Des and the clubs, and every club does it, the players say nothing. You actually, it's really hard to work out who are the personalities of the current players playing. There's not many.
No.
Like Cheese obviously comes on here, he's got a bit of a personality. Toby Rudolph's got a personality.
Yeah, it is difficult because you are consciously aware that your words can be taken out of context and or used as motivation for an opposition.
Yeah, but like, what example of like, how is something that you say in the media going to really? It's not really going to make that much difference to the team that going against.
Well, let's say before, if a team's not like lost 4 in a row, but and you're playing them the following week. Oh, what have you made of their current form? Oh, yeah, they've actually played. They've been unlucky.
They looked awful.
You're not. If you can't really be honest.
Yeah.
Like, you're coming up against before the Eels won. Like, you can't just turn around and go, tell you what, they're really struggling in attack. They can't generate any opportunities.
Yeah.
Tell you what, they need to figure out where Lomax is playing. Like, you can't. You just have to. You talk them up, even though you know that they've been below par. Yeah. Just on Des, and we're not sure if he is going to face a fine.
He won't be fined. How can they fine him, but then they didn't find Ricky a couple of weeks ago? It's a similar sort of thing. Sure, they can't find Des.
But speaking of coaches and what they do, Mourinho playing in, he's a manager in Turkey, Galatasaray against Fenerbahce.
The chosen one.
He actually whacked one of the opposition coaches on the nose, and you want to see him fall down, carry on. Like, he is carrying on, sparked this massive, like, all-in sort of brawl start. It's 3 games.
Only 3 games
3
suspension.
games suspension. Tony, can you put it up on insert it in? If you just look at it now,
Jose
Charlie.
Mourinho, yeah, I'll pull it up.
Type in Mourinho. I don't know if he's the Fenerbahce or the Galatasaray coach, but he's one of them. But he, the opposition coach milks it, and he's got 3 games.
Jose Mourinho, nose grab. Is it nose grab? Is that the right way of describing it? Oh, oh my goodness, that's pathetic. That is pathetic.
Yeah, he's at Fenerbahce now.
Yeah, wow. He grabs his nose. He barely touches him. Oh, Ken Burke is the guy who dives. Yeah, it's insane.
I actually sent that video to Mitch Brown and said, mate, I would have loved to have done this to you. I hope Des doesn't get fined for that. For what he said. But
I hope he doesn't get fined. Yeah. Just then, Jim, we've got to go to the Roosters. They are languishing at the bottom of the table, 1-4. Really tough start to the season for them. They were up 14 points to 8 against the Bunnies. Bunnies' bench was depleted. They had like no one on the bench at this point, but they managed to blow that lead, and the Bunnies win the Book of Feuds.
Yeah, and I think I look back at that game and go 2 things. How did Souths not score more points in the first half? Credit to the Roosters for clinging on like they were desperate. They had to be. But then in the second half, when they lose both their halfbacks, Ravalawa gone down to 14, the tax on the middle that makes obviously players playing out of position, just filling a space. How do the Roosters not come away with that victory? And a lot gets mentioned about retention and recruitment, but I spoke to Dave Riccio before, and he brought a great point up. If you look at the quality of players that they've still got, they're underperforming. Forget retention and recruitment. The current players, certainly in a couple of, I think that their halves, they're obviously missing Sammy Walker. Tedesco couldn't try any harder. They've still got Tupu, Dominic Young, Billy Smith.
Yeah, it's a stacked team. But it could be a lot more stacked if they did do their recruitment and retention better, because they've made a lot of mistakes and they've tried to pull off a lot of things and it hasn't worked out for them.
Yeah.
So clearly they don't think their roster's at the right level. Otherwise, there wouldn't be every player that comes in the market the Roosters try and have a crack at the moment.
I'd love to see the comparison of who's taken the cap money from last year to this year. I imagine they've got money. Well, they will have, because they let Terrell May go.
Yeah, they've got money.
So they've got money for this year. But I'd love to see where all that is allocated at the moment.
But if you look at
because they were down to the final 4 last year.
Yeah, but then they're right there. And you know what? And if Cheese and Sam Walker don't do their ACLs, they're probably Penrith's biggest threat. Even though over the last few years they've struggled to beat Melbourne and Penrith, I still think they probably would have had more than Melbourne had, because they pushed Melbourne in Melbourne without those players. And
to be fair, they beat Penrith, but Penrith are a different story this year, aren't they?
Yeah. But the thing with their recruitment though, I actually think it's been pretty poor over the last couple of years, especially because the players that they want, they haven't been able to get, which the Roosters are this glamour club. Really, they can buy their way out of anything. That's what people say. They've got more money. Nick Pillai's the deal maker, does all the deals. He's the best at doing that. But I don't know. The last couple of years tell a different story. Try to get Sean Johnson, missed out on him. Try to get Zach Lomax, missed out on him.
Were they in for Lomax?
They tried to get Zach Lomax. He was on their list. They had a conversation with him. They tried to bring him in.
Where would he have played for the Roosters?
Well, he would have played in the centres or on the wing. At this point they might have been moving Tupu on as well.
Yeah.
They tried to get Val Holmes, couldn't get him. They tried to get Dan Gagai. Dan Gagai said no to them. They signed Dave Fafita and said to Angus Crichton, "You can go." Then Fafita backflipped on them and they kept Angus Crichton, a supposed Angus Crichton you consider to be a Roosters player. Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
So that's another. And then now they let Terrell May go. They brought in Cheese, who wasn't the right fit for them.
The May and Tupanua ones are strange. I think, yeah.
But why did they lose Tupanua?
I don't know if they offered him a deal.
But exactly, they were focusing on bringing Dave Fafita in.
Well, that's what.
Or try to get Ben Hunt. The list carries on.
They got more, have they got a long-term plan? And look, they'd never admit this. That they're not maybe as focused on winning a premiership this year as they have been in other years. And maybe, just maybe, it's a business-like approach. Like I say, I imagine there's space on the cap. Overpay some players this year, and then they take less money the following years. So they've built a war chest, and also the long-term benefit of your likes of Robert Toya, your Nafahu Whites, your Siwa Wongs, get them game time now, game experience to go bang in a couple of years.
Yeah,
figure out who's at Sandon Smith, another one. He just needs games,
yeah.
and maybe there's detrimental effect to losing, having a poor year, but it can quickly turn around if they recruit the right people.
But see, then I think
all those players go on.
You're giving them credit for their failed plans because they missed out on those players. They didn't try to do in this position. You're now going to be like, oh, look at us. We're in a great position now. We're building for the future.
But the main Tupanua decision was it their own?
But the main makes no sense. He's an Origin player. He's going to play Origin this year probably. Makes no sense. It's a huge mistake. It's a huge mistake. No matter, he wasn't a Roosters player, didn't fit. Yeah. No matter which way you want to say it, it's a huge mistake.
Yeah, it doesn't
I
seem
wonder
to be
if
justified.
Craig Bellamy and the Melbourne Storm would have got rid of Terrell May on the money he was on, or found a way to get him to fit into their system.
No, I can't imagine that.
Yeah. I mean, it's just the signings, and even they're still desperate for players. Like every player that comes up, they try and get their hands in. Even now, DCE, I was probably going to go to Roosters. What does that do to them?
Well, it gives them a stronger spine.
Yeah, but does it make them? It doesn't make them a premiership contender if DCE rolls into town.
Well, it would be a spine of Teddy, Walker, DCE, and Robson.
Yeah,
it's not about spine.
But you're just adding. You're adding Robson in. So Robson and Connor Watson. What's the difference in them?
Yeah, but then you get Connor Watson as your genuine 14.
I know, but what I'm saying is Robson as an upgrade over Watson dramatic?
No, but it certainly strengthens you. And Robson is a better dummy half than Connor Watson.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
And then you get the added benefit.
So you're saying, we're going to have a few years of pain now. Now their spine's going to be to James Tedesco, who's going to be deep into his 30s. Daly Chervins is going to be deep into his 30s as well. So what are they doing? What is the plan? Because are they building for the future, or are they trying to win it now? Again, bringing DCE is a sign that they don't really know what their plan is.
Yeah, well, that is for them to describe. But I guarantee you that spine of Teddy, Walker, DC, and Robson is a hell of a lot better than what it is at the moment. Obviously, some of that is unavoidable through injury. But if those younger forwards, you can actually start to see potential fruit.
Yeah, for 2 years, and then they go
well,
on again.
and then
you've stunted Sandon Smith's progression as well.
Well, and then in 2 years, we all know who's off contract who plays fullback for a rival club.
Yeah, so that's the fullback position.
Yeah, so that would be the solving of Teddy. Sam Walker gets the advanced. Maybe Sandon Smith is the 6. You don't know, but I imagine that's the plan: is to have that spine of Teddy, Walker, DC, Robson next year. It's pretty good.
It's not bad. But I still think that
it catapults them into top 4 conversation.
No way. They won't be a top 4 team. No way.
With that spine,
the way they are now, you're just adding DCE into that team. The way they're traveling,
it's not just these. It's you throw. Well, Walker's missing, so so it's Walker, DC, and Robson that catapults them into top 4.
But then you're shifting Walker from who's played his first 75 games at halfback into a 5'8" position. So he's got to figure out that spot on the fly.
Yeah. Look,
you've got DCE who's going to be 36, 37?
Yeah.
How old's Teddy going to be?
He'd be early
He's
30s.
Still killing it, but he's mid-30s.
Yeah.
Mid-30s.
Early 30s. There's a difference.
Late, early 30s. I don't know. I reckon they haven't really got a clear vision.
I'd be gobsmacked if that was the truth. Internally. With the way you hear around how the Roosters operate. So I'd be gobsmacked.
Where do you reckon they're going to go this year then?
They're going to struggle big time this year.
Have you put a line through them making the 8 though?
Yeah, I can't.
Now?
They've got...
even without Sam Walker coming back?
I know Panthers... not the side they used to be, but it's Roosters play Broncos and Panthers
next
2 weeks. So, like, realistically, staring down the barrel of what would that be, 1-6?
Yeah.
I just think there's too much work to do, and they're too vulnerable and exposed this year to make the 8. Based off what we've seen so far.
Yeah, that team you talk about, the Panthers battling, they are 1-4. But, I mean, you can't put a line through them. Yeah.
No, you can't, based off previous history. Obviously, winning 4 in a row, but there's a number of things that have compounded to give us this level of performance. We think about just the intensity of the last 5 years, the trip to Vegas, then the no home ground this year. Like, all of these things add up. The unplanned exit of their first player in however long it's been, in James Fisher-Harris. I think they sort of anticipated Luai going. They anticipated Crichton. They anticipated Burton. They anticipated Kickout. They anticipated Coruscant. They anticipated these guys to be moving on, but they didn't anticipate James Fisher-Harris, who is the best defensive prop in the competition. Now, that is another thing that adds or compounds on you, but defensively they have some issues, which is so strange because in previous years when those players have been unavailable, they still perform. But Fisher-Harris has always been available because he doesn't play State of Origin. So it's interesting to see how the impact of him and what he did for that connection, what he did for that culture, what he did for that game plan of team, just the little things about where the situations and the confidence he gives others around him. Maybe this all adds into it. I don't think there's one decisive thing that goes, oh, this is why Penrith are underperforming at the moment. But when you add them all up, it's which is the straw that breaks the camel's back. We don't know because all these little things have been compounding.
Going to Vegas is the last thing they probably needed after the premiership run they've been in. But also, Matt, Edwards being out, I think, is massive.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Edwards brings so much to that team, especially in the defensive organisation. Like, yeah, he's a big part of that.
Yeah.
And there's some new players that are still finding their feet, figuring out what it's like. You know, the Blaze Talangi situation is a strange one as well. Like,
well, I don't think he's going to be playing that much this year, you get the feeling. Because they've had all those injuries and, like, they haven't even played him we could have played him on the wing on the weekend. They didn't give him that chance. I mean,
I think it's clear that the concerns with Blaze are defence, but it's not like Panthers are killing it defensively at the moment. I think maybe it's going to be time for Ivan to just throw him in. Like, and this is nothing against Jack Cole, but like, you sign Blaze Talangi to take over from Jerome Luai. Again, he was the first player that they went and bought him from another organisation, Isaiah Papali'i being the other one. But Blaze Talangi was the first. Yeah, I think it's probably time for him to play. You're not going to put a line through the Panthers, but we've done a bit of a dive into how their draw is going to be. And historically, Origin is a tough phase for any successful team. If everybody's fit, which, well, you want them to be fit, or even if they're not playing for Penrith. But you've got to imagine Edwards is in the Origin team.
Yep.
Toto is in the Origin team. Cleary is in the Origin team. Martin is in the Origin team. And Isaiah Yeo is in the Origin team for New South Wales.
Maybe even Lindsay Smith as well.
Smith, maybe. Let's just say, well, let's just go with 5 absolute locks for Laurie Daly from Penrith, even though they've underperformed this year. So that Origin period is going to be very difficult to navigate.
I think they've got 2 buys, don't they, during that period?
We've looked at it before Origin 1. They play Newcastle Knights.
Who will be without Kalen Ponga.
Will be without Kalen Ponga. And that is probably it, with all due respect to Bradman Best.
Unless there's injuries.
Like
if Latrell's out, Turbo's out, Crichton, one of those, he's a chance for sure.
Yeah. So Bradman Best, top quality centre.
Amazing
great.
in Origin. Every time he's played Origin, been unbelievable.
But does he make the 17? like we say, Lindsay Smith, he maybe, but I doubt
Yeah.
it. They back up on a Sunday and play Parramatta, who will only likely have Lomax in.
Who would probably back up, you would think. Most wings do back up.
Yeah. Mitchell Moses, will he be... I can't imagine him and Cleary in the same team, although you never know.
We don't even know when Moses is going to be back, though.
No. Yeah. We don't know.
Yeah.
But again, they'll be backing up against the team. All right, the Sunday, so it's 5 days. Eels, look, they're not the greatest, but it puts pressure on those 5 players, or at least some of those players, to play. The second Origin, they have a bye leading into it, and then they play the New Zealand Warriors in New Zealand on the Saturday. I think that is scheduled loss.
Yeah, all of them will miss that. None of them will back up.
You can't envisage
none of them will back up.
That would be a move.
They're expecting to lose that.
That's a move of desperation. Now, Kevy Walters got put under the... Did he back the players up when they played New Zealand, or some of them? I remember it being a story. I can't recall how it went.
I vaguely remember that,
Yeah. But I can't see anybody backing up in that sense. Then the third Origin, they, again, lead into it in a bye. What about this for the way this draw's been put together? They play Parramatta again.
Sunday afternoon again.
On a Sunday afternoon, post-Origin, which seems strange. Like, Penrith Parramatta is a blockbuster game. We've seen them historically produce some incredible encounters, like some of the best games of rugby league that have been played over the past 4 or 5 seasons, and not even
different teams though, weren't they?
Not even just in that when Para went really well. That this game always seems to bring out the best in Para.
Yep.
But then we're playing it after Origin. I don't know. I don't think that should happen. And I don't
there's
think
so many issues in the draw.
I don't think that this should be. It certainly shouldn't happen twice in the same year.
No, because you're missing out on getting Penrith at their best against Parramatta.
Yeah,
which is always a great match. But there's so many issues in the draw. Like the Knights are playing the Tigers this weekend. They've already played each other. Played each other in round 1. You got the only opportunity. We probably reckon Kieran Foran, this is his last ever year of first grade. That's the talk that he's probably going to retire this year. Manly play the Titans once this season. It's during Origin, where DCE will be playing for Queensland. So they don't get to have a farewell game against each other. Like, that's another stuff up in the draw. There's a lot of them. If you dig deep. Yeah,
the draw has been strange. Well, even the Roosters, they've played Penrith and Broncos twice within the first 8 games.
Yeah.
Or they will have.
Yeah. It's just insane.
Illogical, really. It doesn't seem to make sense.
Given what you're saying, the Panthers have drifted to $9 premiership outsiders. I am going to have a bet on that on Ladbrokes.
Can I suggest you wait?
Wait for Origin? You think they're going to drift more during Origin?
Ooh. Actually, get in now.
Get in now.
Because I reckon it'll... Well, they might win a couple. That price will shorten. So get in now, and then it might drop again. But I tell you what, Penrith could be the team to win it from the bottom half of the 8.
Yeah, they'll just be so good in those games. Like, if you're anyone, even if you're the Melbourne Storm, and you like week 2 of, say you in the prelim final, and you come up against the Penrith Panthers who finished 5th or who finished 6th and have fought their way to the prelim, you'd be scared of them if you're.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah,
all Penrith need to do is make the 8, and then they're a chance of winning the comp.
Yeah, that's it. They've just got to get in there.
Yeah.
And I think maybe internally, we've heard Ivan speak about this new challenge. Maybe he looks at it and just goes, again, like the Roosters in this longer plan, it's not all about winning the moment. It's about winning in the future. Like, maybe Penrith sort of adjust their targets to go, let's finish in, let's just make sure we get in the 8, and then it's 4 weeks of insane intensity of the old Penrith.
Yeah.
And we back ourselves off that. And you'd believe in that plan that Penrith could put together 4 games in September. Because I don't think they're going to get the opportunity to play 3 games in September.
No. Mate,
not after the start and not after that origin period.
If I had to pick a team to play for my life tomorrow, I'd probably pick the Melbourne Storm, but I'd heavily consider picking the Penrith Panthers to play for my life.
I love this because I've had it put on me. Like if I had a player playing for, it's like, when's this ever?
Yeah.
We need aliens to come and invade and come to you, Charlie, and say, hey, we play this game of rugby league.
Yeah.
You've got to pick a team for the planet's survival.
I'd consider Penrith. I really would, given their history of big games. They'd understand what it takes to win.
Team
the
of
world
Martians,
on the line.
yeah.
The world on the line. But you've still got them as a premiership threat.
Premiership contender, premiership threat, like whatever you want to, however you want to spin it. They're like, we use that past performance is not a reliable indicator of future performance. But guess what? With the Panthers, it bloody well is.
Yeah, they're Edwards back for them as well this week on Thursday, which is huge. Other one, Jimmy, that's happened this week is obviously Melbourne Storm absolutely put the cleaners through Manly. Nearly conceded 50 points, which would have been the end of Manly's premiership chances. But the DCE stuff, like it's going to bubble up when results of this happen, and it's obviously impacting the playing group.
Well, you're right, Charlie. We get the narrative post results, so it is going to be highlighted again, and it will be until. Look, this story's not gone away, but yeah, even you mentioned the other week about Bulldogs not signing May, right? And the reason that hasn't come up is because Bulldogs are 5-0. But you know, as soon as they lose, people or there's, like we've said before on the podcast, there's a game where, you know, a team might come through the middle and get on top of the Dogs. People are going to say, why didn't they get May? There you go. It's the same with DCE. Now the conversations can start around why were they so poor? Oh, let's just point the finger at the DCE saga. And look, it does affect people around them. This idea that you can just turn up and do your job. If it was only as simple as that, you're not human if you don't think it affects you. Everybody will, all the players in that team, by their loved ones, will be getting asked, and you know, when they're out in the community, at school drop-off, cafes, restaurants, bars, whatever, going down the extra recovery for gym. Oh, what people want to know what's going on with Ches. You can't avoid it. It would become annoying, I reckon.
Yeah, definitely.
Because and of course it's going to affect them.
And I think Jake Trbojevic has already come out and said that he wouldn't have done it the way DCE did it.
Yeah,
it's a little shot, but that's a shot.
And I met as well. Like I've known of players in teams that don't get on with each other and don't talk to each other. I think there's been numerous occasions where players are there just on a pure professional level, and that's it, and there's no communication away. It's like no talking. But in a game like rugby league, I think, and especially if you look at those teams that look connected, that look like they're enjoying each other's company on a salary cap sport, like you can't like go and overspend on this and put the Galacticos together. Like, and have them, the egos just run the show and some people not talking to one another. Like, this is a salary cap sport where you need a slight edge. The slight edge is a bit about connection. Like, you know, you quote unquote, like going to war with these people.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you've got one guy there saying, like, public, and this is what Jakey's saying publicly, imagine what he's saying behind closed doors.
It's a shame as well because it seemed like they were a close group, but then since this has happened, you've heard the rumors that maybe the Trbojevics and DCA aren't close. It's a professional relationship, but there's no personal connection there outside of footy. You know, it's the thing with Manly though is like if it keeps going like this, it could really hurt them. And they've already got players out. They've lost Paseka, they've lost Aloe, they've lost Tom Trbojevic for a few weeks. Like there's injuries starting to mount, and the pressure's going to grow on them.
Oh, yeah, of course it is, and it's just going to intensify. And the Daly Cherry Evans future has not been sorted. And then once it is sorted, that's going to lead to more and more questions. It's not going away.
That's why the timing's just stupid. The timing of everything they've done is stupid. Should have saved this for like after the season or done the deal on the slide and said, this cannot come out at all. We needed Manly's chance to win the premiership because there was moments with Manly on that game on Sunday. the scoreline's bad, but there were moments where Manly showed their brilliance. And that first half, I think it was 18-10 at halftime, I think it was.
Yeah.
They were in that fight, and there were the offloads and the second phase footy that they were showing was incredible. Leo Apawadi, that he's such a good player. The fact that they can lose Tom Travojevic and now be able to put him in fullback position is huge.
Yeah. But they need their they need their stars playing, and they need them playing well. And when it's just when it's your 7 and you're 1 and you're 13, come on. Yeah. You need those guys having a strong bond with one another, spending time, being in each other's pockets, knowing each other's combinations. Now, I know they've been together at the same team for a long time, but yeah, it's certainly not going to help them. I'm almost thinking this is that DCE, not Saga. I don't know how I want to summarize it, but it could be the thing that just tips Manly over there. We're not going to win it edge.
Yeah, I think losing Pasek is big as well.
Yeah, that's probably been a bit overshadowed.
I think I think it hasn't given enough credit. It's the most important front rower out for the season. It's tough. You talk about teams that like each other. You can see that with South. You can really see it with South, and the way
it's a team that cares for each other,
100%. And their celebrations of that game, it was like they won a final. It was amazing to see. Bench depleted, Jaden Sullivan going crazy. It was so cool.
Yeah, that's what got South that win. There was no people weren't even playing a position. It was just they were just on the field. There was no official position. They were decimated. The only way a team wins that game is if you care about each other. That's the only way. That's what got them the victory, and then that's evidence to suggest when Manly are in that situation, they maybe don't, because they don't care enough about each other. Souths, they care about each other.
Yeah. And even Wayne does that, doesn't he? Wayne connects the group. I think you've said in the past that the most connected the English group ever was when Wayne was the coach.
Yeah, it was. And for a number of reasons, but he fostered an environment that made us incredibly connected. Not too dissimilar to what's going on in Canberra. You can see that they're united behind there. No one gives us a chance.
Yeah.
We're an easy kick down in Canberra. No one's giving them a chance. And they're it's us against them. That's the environment that they're creating down there.
Yeah. The issue they've got, though, now, South, is the hamstring injuries, though, because they got Humphreys is going to be 4 to 5 weeks. Cody Walker is going to be 2 to 3 weeks. And Michaeli Revelar was 6 to 8 weeks. Now, on Monday, at South's training, Lewis Dodd was not playing halfback. However, he played New South Wales Cup on Sunday, so he may have been rested on Monday.
Yeah, that's what that is. I'm surprised he played New South Wales Cup. It's one of those dilemmas. Do we give him some more game time, or do we put him in cotton wool? But I think if you put him in cotton wool, if you don't play him, then it's out there that he's definitely going to be the half.
Oh, mate, if they don't play him, Lewis Dodd, we'll be thinking, I'm not going to play all year.
Oh, no, I mean in the New South Wales Cup.
Oh, New South Wales Cup. Yeah, okay, sorry.
He's got to play first grade this week.
Hasn't been confirmed yet, though, that he is.
No.
And if he doesn't, that's going to knock his confidence back big time.
Absolutely. I know there's a number of players in there, and just the way the stars have aligned and a few things gone against Lewis Dodd, but yeah, if he's not playing this week.
Because it could be Sullivan and Whiten. It could be Sullivan and Latrell.
Could be, but I think Dodd's got to get his crack.
Yeah.
Got to get his crack.
Yeah. And Jai Gray now, 5 points clear in the Dally M's as well.
Yeah, killing it. Look,
now, imagine that. Imagine if he wins the Dally M when he wasn't even meant to play.
And that's what you want from players that come in. Yeah, Jai Gray gets a lot of praise, and rightly so, and that's what you want from your players that come in to hold the fort while your stars are out, and he's leading the Dally M's, and rightly so, but I think one player that maybe perhaps has been overlooked is Hubner, and coming in that lock forward. So yeah, Jai Gray replaces Latrell, but Hubner had to replace Cam Murray.
Yeah,
and he has been exceptional.
He's been awesome. He was on a training trial deal last year at the Dolphins, and Wayne's brought him in the Dolphins. Now Wayne's taken him to the Bunnies, and it's awesome.
He's been incredible. Hey, just quickly, Charlie, on that Raiders beating the Sharks, I want to get across this that. What a finish. And we spoke about the sin binnings. the Raiders actually took advantage of Hudson Young being sin-binned.
Freshen him up.
It freshened him up because the Sharks, they took the 2 and that they thought that'd be enough and they stopped playing the Sharks. They were a bit, and they thought, oh, we'll just take the juice out of the Raiders. Hudson Young got a 10-minute rest. Not that he particularly needed it, but he came back onto the field fresher than anybody. That's why he could outpace Nickera over on that far edge. That led to the try.
Yeah.
Like, Sharks would be so disappointed with that. They had that game won when Hudson Young got sent to the bin. There was a play, the last touch that the Sharks had
It was Braden Trindle.
And he could have just passed the ball to, I think...
just pass it through the hands, they score on the wing.
I think it was Billy Burns.
But even they could have gone out the back to the winger as well.
Yeah, but I think Billy Burns was on for his little short pass. And that's... Look, we know what we know now. You'd back your defence in that situation, but they just stopped playing the Sharks.
Yeah.
Credit to Canberra. Ricky Stewart, it was brilliant seeing him, hugs, headlocks, high fives on that's pure emotion. And it's such an important victory for Canberra in terms of that home field advantage. Like, they showed what they did against Broncos, like took them on at home, got that last minute win against the Sharks. That's got to be the bedrock for their success this year, is their home form. They let themselves down a few times at home last year. But just watching that game, went back and watched it. Seb Chris scores, and there's still 90 seconds left of game time. And I just wonder if we should look at maybe in the last 10 minutes of the game or the last 5 minutes of the game, we stop the clock.
Yeah.
Because
they stop the clock until the bunker confirms the try.
Yeah.
So they do stop the clock for that period, and then once the bunker confirms the try, the clock starts again for the kicker to line it up. It's just a waste of time. It's shit for the fans.
And it's also it's real. It adds to the tension. And this isn't about, like, look, Canberra got the advantage of it, and then it would have helped Cronulla Sharks at least have a touch of the football. But it's about the game, and we talk about ball in play. That's one of the big metrics that the NRL are looking to improve. Let's stop the game clock in the last 5 minutes and give the fans more tension. Could you imagine that game? Like, we've just had this huge moment.
Yeah.
But then it doesn't stop because it dwindled out. That was the end of the game.
Yeah. Mate, I actually think I'd go one step further, not just for tries. I think they should stop it every time the ball goes out and the ball goes dead in the last 5 minutes. Stop the clock.
I don't mind it, Charlie. I think we could be onto something.
The other big thing then in that game was Fogarty's kicking game. Those bombs he was picking up. I think Stone Street dropped one. They let a couple bounce.
Stone Street dropped one. On one. He didn't drop it, Charlie. I can't even describe it.
Yeah, it was his kicking game. Fogarty is brilliant. And this will be, I think, one of the big stories of this week in the news, in NRL news, because Jamal Fogarty's option needs to be enacted before the Thursday game. So basically how his option works, there's a club option and a player option. The club option is for $650,000 per season. They can pick it up for next year, but they have to do it by Thursday. Fogarty's player option is $350,000. So the Canberra Raiders and Jamal Fogarty are trying to find middle ground. But Jimmy...
Mate, that is a steal. He is braining it down there.
At $650,000, Fogarty would be the bargain buy in the NRL.
Well, really, if they don't get that, he's going to get a truckload more. Mate, if he leaves.
He's an $800,000 a year player, I think.
Mate, in the halves are slim pickings, and there's some of them that are aging and don't have long to go.
No.
Like Manly would be in the mix, Dragons.
Hey,
Titans,
Roosters, if you're trying to get DCE, consider Jamal Fogarty. He suits your timeline better age-wise.
Mate, I'm gobsmacked that it's come to this, but credit to Ricky Stewart and Canberra to saying, look, if you can get 2 years,
mate,
or a longer, if you can get longer, go for it. We go with our blessing, but
because mate, the thing about Jamal Fogarty as well is you saw what happened to the South Sydney Rabbitohs when they let Adam Reynolds go. Like, losing your veteran halfback is going to have a huge impact. I actually did the stats of it all and how many games they win and lose with Fogarty without him. Because that is one of the knocks on Fogarty. He does miss some time. But the Canberra Raiders win just under 60% of their games when he plays, and they win just over 40% of their games when he doesn't play. So really, they're probably about 6 on the ladder with Fogarty playing, and they're probably 12th, 13th with him not playing. That is a huge difference. And to not give him 650, I know you've got Ethan Sanders coming through, but that's a huge decision.
It is. Yeah, he's been killing it this year.
Yeah.
And he had a good year last year as well. Confusing, but they've...
If I'm Manly, I've got 750 I was going to give DCE. Just calling Jamal Fogarty, come on down. 4 years, 750 a year.
I'm with you on the 750 for him, but he's going to be that someone else is going to call up and say, we'll give you 8. We'll give you 8. And then someone will call up and we'll give you 9.
And he's 31, Jamal Fogarty, so he's sort of coming into his prime of a halfback, really. The way it seems over the last few years, it seems like the prime of a halfback is that early 30s period. That's probably us done then, Jimmy, I'd say.
That'll wrap us up. Just a recap of the RockBusters for everybody. This knife can fly. So get your
plane.
Get your answers in the YouTube comments
Dagger.
or however. Don't just spitball now, Charlie. Let's do this off air. Thanks for listening, everybody. We will catch you midweek.